Hello, friends. Welcome to Homes and Souls. Today we have a special guest for you. Our very own Brianna Ronde will be talking with Gina, our favorite bookkeeper. She's going to be talking about all things budgeting for Christmas for your friends and family. She's even going to throw in some bookkeeper knowledge that you don't want to miss and a crazy statistic she learned from Dave Ramsey. So grab that cup of coffee or grab that cup of tea while you listen to Christmas in July with Gina.
Gina, you're ready to go, so take it away.
I'm ready. Welcome, everybody. My name is Gina Malvestuto. I own a business called Green Tree Bookkeping. I have been in business for 23 years now, so I've been doing this for a few minutes. And we are here to talk about Christmas usually it's July, but it's now August. And this all stemmed from a comment that I made in one of our calls about how I start shopping, doing Christmas shopping in July, and that intrigued Brianna, and she wanted me to talk about it. So I kind of threw some things together, and I thought I would start on that topic. So before I start, I was like, when she's asked me that, it intrigued her. I have to tell you that I'm going to start this in a kind of a different way. I think we all have a talent, and sometimes we have talents that we don't even realize until someone brings us to our attention, because we just think that that's just the norm. Everybody thinks that way. I'm sure Lisa, every time she looks at a file cabinet, thinks about decoupaging it. And I have never thought about decoupaging a file cabinet until she showed me a video, and I was like, oh, that's an interesting, I never even dreamed of something like that. But we all do that, right? We all have something that is our little niche until someone says something or you see something, and then you go, oh, this isn't like what everybody thinks. I'm kind of weird in this way. Oh, okay. I guess I could talk about that. And so that's kind of where we are. So the first thing I want to start with is, before this, I was like, okay, so what is my process really? When I look at how I do this and start shopping in July, what is really my process? And so one of the first processes you have to have is you have to have a place for the gifts. If you're going to buy gifts ahead of time, you have to have a dedicated place, because if you just hidey something here and hidey, you're never going to remember it. It has to be a same dedicated place over and over and over and over and over again. So I have a linen closet that I have one little section that is my little section that is for gifts. But it's for gifts that are for my stepmom or an employee or a client or, my sister, my stepmom. That is that shelf, I will say, right? But then I have another hidey spot, because that's in the linen closet, right? The whole family's in the linen closet all the time. But I have a son and a husband that if I buy things for, I can't put it in the closet because they'll see it. So I have another hidey spot in my closet that they don't even know about. It's a hidey spot that I put their little gifts whenever I get them in that spot, and that's where their stuff goes. So first and foremost, you have to have a hidey spot, and it's got to be consistent. You have to know where it is. It has to make sense to you. So that's where your gifts go. So that's the first part. The second step of how I do things is, and we're going to talk about Christmas, but I'm also going to talk about year-round gifts, because that's just how my brain works, is you have to know your who, right? Who are you buying Christmas gifts for? And so I have lists. I love my lists. So I have several lists. One is my family, right? It's my husband, my son, my sisters, my nieces and nephews, anybody I would buy a gift for. My niece had my great grandnephew, I guess, had his first Christmas. I want to get him a little something, this year because his first Christmas. I make a list. Then I have another list that is all my clients what clients are going to get gifts this year. And then I have another list that is like, okay, I have like my, well, my clients and employees go in one. And then it's like the extras. Like, what are the extras I have? Like, I might have, like, I have 2 girlfriends. We exchange gifts. We have a little Christmas ritual. We've been doing it for years. We get together and exchange gifts. So there's that list. So it's the above and beyond gifts that you might buy. Another example is I'm part of the Batavia Chamber, and I'm part of a networking group. We have a Christmas gathering. We have a white elephant. I'm in like 2 of them. So each one has their own kind of, there's another, like that's, so I have 3 different kinds of lists, and I like sort it out. So then that way I just know where my lists are. So that's how my lists work. Okay. So you have to really know who you're buying for. The third thing, I guess, where I usually start is I usually have a theme. And my theme usually runs through all of them as best as I can make it fit. There might be some oddities, but overall, like, I'm not going to buy, my great grandnephew a candle. You know what I mean? Like, that would just be inappropriate. So I do like make it more specific, but I try to really theme it. And I'll give you some of the examples I've done throughout the years. And when I do it for my family, I do it for my clients, I do it for my girlfriends. Like, it's across the board of what I do. All right. One is like, I've done picture frames, like really, really, really nice picture frames. And it goes across the boards. If it's my family, I might include pictures of us, really nice pictures that we've taken throughout the year, and make a collage. I've done something like that. I've done, one year I did battery candles, like very, like really nice, really, really nice ones for like my aunts. I gave them really small ones. Like, it depended on the size, or it wasn't like battery candles. It was like just lights in general. And so then I also found like solar lights that people could put outside. And so there's ones that they're compact, but when so you can store them away in the summertime, and then you twist them and they pop up, and they're solar, and they're beautiful, and they turn all different colors, and there's different sizes and shape. Like, that was one of my themes, and it went across everybody of whatever the budget was for everybody. Last year I had gone on vacation, and I saw these like mats / towels / yoga mats it was by this brand that was really, really good. And you shake, I don't know, it had all these high reviews. And I'm like, that's it. That's what I'm doing this year. And some of them got the beach towels, some of them got yoga mats, some of them got a combination of both. I mean, I just make it really easy. Like, that's one of the other things I do, is I try to make it really easy. And sometimes if you can buy in bulk, which I do, especially for my, for some of the things, you can get a discount. So I'll look at that, but then I try to utilize that discount over and over and over again. So that's another way I've worked at things. I don't know, I've done blankets. I've like made my own blankets. I've done the soup bread thing. I've done the wine and the wine glasses thing. I mean, 20 years, every time they always, like, one year I did those salts, candles. I've done everything, grilling things and knives. I don't know. Every year I just make it a thing. And so that's part of what I do. And I'm going to go back to the list. So along with my list, especially at Christmas, and I don't know if any of you guys have this situation, but I do. There's also birthdays included amongst the Christmas, right? So like one of my employees, her birthday is literally a week before Christmas. And then my stepmom is literally between Christmas and New Year's. And my husband is literally a week after New Year's. So not only do my nephew's is also the week before Christmas. So not only do I have to make sure I buy all these Christmas gifts, I have to buy birthday gifts on top of it, which was talk about pain in the ass. I told you I have list upon list. And then, so how do I handle this? And so one of the things I'm constantly doing is I'm always keeping my eye open for things. Like, I've already decided, I think, what my theme is for this year. And now I'm pricing things and looking at, and it's August. And so I will start buying things now. And I guess the way this started, and I guess you should have a little bit of a story of how this started for me. is when I have been on my own. I've lived on my own. I've had my own apartment since I was 20. And so working and renting, and I mean, the money did not get very far. And what happened, I think my first year in my very first Christmas was I had to charge everything. And it took me like 5 months to pay it off. And then you got all that interest, and it really pissed me off. Like, I did not like that. So I was like, all right, how can I do this better? And so I realized if I had everything and I had my little niche spots, as I went along, if I found something, I just bought it because my budget could handle an item or two in July. It could handle a couple of items in August. It could handle a couple items in September. So the time I got to, the day after Thanksgiving and you start Christmas shopping, like I was 3/4 of the way done. And that was so helpful in the fact of, the stress of just going shopping at Christmas time, which to me is crazy. And I am not a big shopper. I shop with a goal. I am not a stroll. Oh, let's go. I think shopping's fun. Not really. I like window shopping, but shopping is not fun for me. I usually go with purpose or ideas, or I'll window shop to get ideas. But that really helped me stretch out the finances of financing Christmas. But I also had an idea along with that of the birthdays that go along with it. So I have a calendar of whose birthday is in what month and what I need, who are the have-tos you have to buy for, right? And I always have my eye open to when I see something. So for example, I went shopping, or I went in June, I went to Florida. My dad needed a ride back from Florida to here in Illinois. And so I flew on a plane. We spent a day going to some place and seeing dolphins. And there were a couple of shops. I'm like, all right, I'll stroll around. It's, duck in and see what they got. And I came across these really cute necklaces, really, really cute. And I saw one and it had hearts on it. My stepmom loves hearts. I just buy it. It's for her birthday. It's between Christmas and New Year. It's in my Heidi spot with a piece of paper with her name written on it, taped on top of it. Done. Then I found another one that had all this, it's a turtle, and the employee in my office really loves turtles, and her birthday is a week before Christmas. I bought one of those too and wrote her name on it, and it's sitting in my Heidi place. So when I see something that I go, makes me automatically think of someone, I just buy it. Because that's when you should buy it. You shouldn't wait till Christmas, make a note and save it to Christmas and buy all your things at Christmas. Your budget can't handle that. I buy it then. And it makes my life so much easier. Now I'm gonna backtrack a little bit and talk about the needs and wants of Christmas. So for me, how I also shop is the needs and wants. And I'll give you a great example. My son just had a birthday. They took him out somewhere nice for dinner, but everything he got was a need for his birthday gifts. He needed, he has a special bath soap jelly thing he likes, and he's going away to college tomorrow. So I bought I bought both of them, but I gave him 2 of them. The other 2 are for Christmas. I don't know if you can hear me. The other 2 are for Christmas. But I gave him 2 for his birthday. And he's like, oh, I love this. I'm like, yeah, but you know what? The problem is I would buy that for him anyway. So why not buy it and give it to him for his birthday? He loves it. He thanks me for it. It's not like his expectation is, oh, I'm going to buy him this big, huge thing. So I also buy what's needed. and I call them gifts. And to me, that is a piece of that budgeting. I don't buy things that we need and then buy gifts. I buy things that are needed and call them gifts. That is a big thing in my house. So like, you know, Christmas stuffing things are like socks and underwear. And it's another package underneath the tree. I mean, my son is excited. I get to open 13 things. You know, one is soap gel, one's underwear, one's socks. I mean, he's just excited by how many things he opened than what he was getting. And I think sometimes we lose sight of that. So I would tell you to kind of focus too on the things that are needed than just the wanting. I mean, yes, you could always give a want, but what are the needs that can be incorporated in that? You know, my husband loves his like gardening. And so like for Father's Day, I came across this like, and that actually might be another thing I do for Christmas now that I think about it, because that was in my brain. It's this tool that you dig in and thing and you pop it up and it takes the roots out and everything for a weed. And I'm like, it's grandpa's something, grandpa's weed remover or something. It's the name is grandpa's. Anyway, and it wasn't overly expensive, but that was his Father's Day gift because he needs it because we've got a lot of weeds and stuff, and that's one of his jobs, and it will just make his job easier. And that was he came in and goes, "This is like the greatest thing ever." I'm like, yeah. But it was a need. It's a need that helps around the house to make things more efficient. So I would tell you to think along those lines as well, is, you know, having needs more than wants. What else did I want to talk about? Oh, the other savings thing that I always do for me is when it comes to Christmas cards and Christmas wrapping paper, I buy those after Christmas. And I'm kind of particular about my gifting wrapping because, like, especially with the clients and having to ship them and whatever, I want it to hold up. So I like the heavier duty wrapping paper. And current catalogs, they have that really, really nice wrapping paper, but it's literally 75% off after Christmas. If you like go in February, I mean, your choices might be less, but you know, like any of my clients and family is going to remember when I wrapped their gift in. You know, 75% off. That is when I buy all my wrapping paper, and that is when I buy my Christmas cards. So that is another great way to save money, because by then you're already helping that cost of spending on stuff, you know, then. Like that's when I usually look for deals of if I want any new cute decorations, or I think I need to buy new lights for something. That's when I usually buy it, is the after, and not the day after craziness, because I think that's silly, but that you will find things a month or so later, like current, that will have things at 75% off. And it's good quality. So that's another thing that I do to help with that kind of stuff. For me, when I also make my list, I also do a budget of how much am I going to spend, and I put a dollar amount. And as I buy things, or if I put them in my Heidi spot, especially for Christmas, before I truly start Christmas shopping, I will pull all my Heidi stuff out. I will get my list and I write down, okay, here's mom's gift. I got her the butterfly necklace, and that was $35. So I know I spent $35 on my mom, because if I spend $35 on my mom, I try to spend $35 on my dad and $35 on my stepmom, and I try to make it kind of fair. So, you know, whatever, like maybe my budget is, you know, $50. So I'm like, okay, now maybe I just have to get her a little something, and I'll go get her a little gift card to her favorite little lunch place. You know what I'm saying? And gift cards to me are like a great thing too, but I don't have to wait to November to do it. I can do it now. So So that's kind of things that I do is I also put a budget to the line items I am spending. Another way I use my budget to make it not so expensive is those points you get on credit cards and bank accounts. I use those to buy gift cards, and I use those as gifts because it's not costing me anything. So that is another way I've used, I budget my stuff to pay for things that helps me not spend so much money at Christmas time. And I'll usually do that, usually because sometimes they can take 8 weeks or so. Like I'll usually do that like at the end of October. And then or six, it takes you like 4 or 6 weeks. And then like, I'll like look at my stuff and go, okay, well, maybe I need to supplement this gift card in here and this gift card here and, do my points and just get them that way. And then we talk about how, Christmas in July, that's also like sometimes they have savings. That would be a good time to look for your Christmassy things. And have like realistic gift budgets too. I mean, sometimes I think we like to overspend. And that is something that if you write down exactly what you're spending and like, as you're doing it, you have an idea of what you've spent. And if you have those hidey holes, it's easy to look to see, oh, did I, like, I'll give you an example. I did like, I throughout the year, and because I do it throughout the year, I had bought so much crap for my son for Christmas last year. I'm like, this is flipping ridiculous. So I took it all out and I looked at what I had, and a handful were needs. I was like, okay, well, these couple things, this is, we do Valentine's Day, but we don't really do candy. I mean, if I give my son candy, it'll be like a little thing candy, but I usually give him a little something. So and I marked it Valentine's Day. I put it back in the drawer and I went, Easter basket, right? I got to buy stuff for the Easter basket. And I took these couple bundle things. I put them on Easter and I stuck it in the drawer. I already had things or Valentine's Day and Easter already done before Christmas. Because I see things when I see them and I just get them because it's easier than to handle it than all it whenever I need to do it. What else? Does anybody have any questions? I think that's about it as far as all my thinkings and thoughts. So if anybody has any questions, I think I will take them now.
Okay, Gina, I'll check the chat, but I have a few questions that I wrote down.
Go ahead.
This is all so great. There's definitely some new things I've never heard to think about. I want to hear from you. Where do you think most people go wrong with holiday shopping?
They don't like put a budget as far as what they're going to spend per group. I'll just say, like, what you might buy your niece, the dollar budget for that is going to be different than what you're going to buy your daughter or son, but they need to be reasonable. And I think people spend more than they have available to them. And then they end up putting it on their credit cards, and then the debt from that, and then paying the credit card fees on top of that debt just exasperates it. And so I think that is part of where, like, for example, like telling you, like when I opened the drawer and I saw the crap I had gotten for my son, could I have given it to him all for Christmas? Of course I could have. But I'm like, he don't need all this. Like, what is reasonable here? This is not reasonable. And I mean, and think about, and I'm not an over like, what I got for Valentine's Day and Easter isn't like hundreds of dollars, but it was taking those things out to create those other piles to like give him less. And that to me is like, that's where people go wrong. They just go, oh, it's okay. Oh, that's okay. Oh, I see this now. I'll just add it to the Christmas present. Well, great. If you see it now, that's great. Can you afford it now? Maybe not. Take a picture of it and order it in April and give it to them for their birthday or next Christmas. Like, it's not like you have to say no to it. It just, let's do it later.
Love that.
If that makes sense.
Yes, I love that. Don't have to say no, just say not now.
Not now. And you know what? I mean, we have these great things that you can go, oh, there's this, take a picture of it, put it on your calendar like 4 months out and say, look at picture on this date and order for so-and-so's birthday.
That's great. You're right. And we all have access to things like Google Keep, where we can keep a running list all the time.
Right. Or Amazon, you can put it on your Amazon wish list.
So true. So true. I saw someone unmuted. Do you have a question you want to jump in and ask? Not sure who that was.
I do. That's me. I also unmuted.
Go for it.
You're probably hearing all the Panera. I just wanted to add that just a couple of things that I do as well is I, like Gina, I keep a spreadsheet for my budget. We have a holiday account that we pay into every month, well, twice a month, that gets automatically transferred to help the budgeting, because I, like Gina, used to put everything on a credit card, then you spend the entire year paying it off, and then you're just in this vicious cycle. But we learned 20 something years ago to stop doing that. So husband and I actually have a holiday account along with like a savings, and it's separate, and that money, we use that specifically for the holidays, just in case that interests anybody. And then like I said, I also do a spreadsheet. I've already started shopping. I just showed Lisa that I just sent a text to my family on Tuesday that I'm trying to be done by October 1st. So I'm right there with you. I love it. I love the pre-planning. Oh, and I listen to what my family members say. I don't necessarily do a theme, although one year I did the something you want, need, wear, read. I did do that for my family. But I listen when they say they want something, and then I just make a note of it in my notes on my phone, so that when it comes time to purchase gifts, I have like a list, like what has husband talked about? What is my sister? What is my kid, the grandbaby, all the things, just so it makes it a little bit easier to prepare. And then I do a list for myself all year on Amazon when I want something, and I ask my family to do the same. That way we can forward those to each other. So I just wanted to add some of those things.
Thank you.
That's great. Thank you, Mary.
Nicole, I have Santa paper. I know some people don't wrap their Santa gifts, but in this household, Santa gifts get wrapped. And I've always had, like, if there had to be a Santa on it for the Santa paper, and I would hide those up in the attic. And so those like roll or two would just sit there up in the attic where the kids wouldn't find them. And then, the regular Christmas paper is nowhere near the Santa paper. And I use this, and then I'm telling you, like, one roll or two rolls. I'm still using the one roll I bought from, like, I don't know, 3 years ago or something like that, because I bought the extra large, whatever. And then I keep, like, if I cut something and I have a piece like this, I wrap it around it, and yeah.
Oh my goodness, that's great. Gina, how do you deal with refund policies? Are you afraid of that, shopping so early?
Refund policies. Well, I don't, unless it's like clothing that I don't think is going to fit them, there would be a receipt. I don't normally buy clothing. It's my son. I know what size underwear and socks he wears, so I'm not overly worried about that. The only time I really buy clothing are for the littles, when they're like for their birthdays or whatever, and that those will get receipts. But usually I don't, things I buy don't, like I bought the necklace in Florida, like giving her the receipt. I don't think she's going to return it. And if they don't like it and they want to regift it or they want to do something else, that's their prerogative. It was my thought, my gift, how I ever, I don't worry about that. So there's
Sounds
that. I
really great.
can't think, like, I don't know if I can't think of the last time I got something that would require a receipt for me to take back.
You're right. It probably is more with clothing items than anything
Right.
else.
Right.
So if you
Unless it was something like specific, like I want this like special light for my patio, and like somebody mentioned it, like, you know, my mom heard me say it, and then she goes and buys me and goes, but I didn't know which one you wanted. Here's the receipt. I mean, that might be the only case where, like, if I was trying to be very specific about something, but I mean, generally, I don't know at our age if we're that very specific about things. That's just, you know, I think that's just good from getting old, you know, whatever. Like, what, you know, when my mom's like, what do you want for Christmas? I go, okay, I know what I want, Mom, but like, and my mom is like to the 9th degree sometimes, which like she drives me a little bunkers. And she's like, okay, what do you want? I go, towels. And she's like, what? I go, our bath towels are looking kind of crappy. We could use like a new set of towels. And then she's like, well, what color? I'm like, a brown, burgundy, gray, whatever you want. Well, then I have to have, I really don't care.
Do you have any thoughts about gifting experiences versus material objects?
Yes. It's so funny you say that, because one of the things me and my son just were talking about, you know, because, you know, he's 19 years old, and, you know, think about when you were that young, you were all about acquiring stuff, right? And we talk about money. I mean, go figure. We talk about money and budgeting and what do you want to spend your, you know, time and money on. And I've had these conversations of like, he's really into watches. I'm like, well, you're going to have some watches, but at some point you have to go, how many watches do you need? You know, what are you going to do with these watches? What's the point of the watches? I go, for me, but you have to, like, I think it also is the person. Some people are very experience driven. So I'm very experience driven. So I like having those experiences, where others, you know, there might be more homebodies and they would rather have, like, you know, 5 new books and just sit in, you know, their favorite chair and read. Their favorite thing might be getting that nice reading chair to read. But yes, I'm all about experiences. In fact, when me and my son went to Italy this year, I was like, you know, Merry Christmas, Valentine's Day. Like, I just like did the whole gamut. I'm like, don't expect anything for your birthday. Like, that was part of it. Like, you know, and we have those conversations. Like, what would you rather have? Would you rather, like, me take you shopping and, you know, get all the clothes you want, or would you rather go out to like a really nice restaurant and have a good dinner and a new experience in a place we've never been to, and experience a, you know, a new area, a new cuisine? And he's like, the dinner, Mom. I'm like, okay, because that's what I would like. And those have to be budgeted too. I mean, I'm really good about, okay, last time we went all out to eat, you know, or it has to be a special occasion, or you know, we're pretty good about budgeting for those as well. And I think, you know, everybody has their way of budgeting. I love the idea of the holiday fund. I have you know, I've got like a short-term fund and a long-term fund, and the short-term funds are for the little things and the long-term funds are for the bigger things, like big experiences, or I mean, I'm lucky now that I'm at the point where, for me, buying gifts, because of how I do it, I don't have to put money in an account. I don't, because it's part of my it's part of my everyday living, kind of, sort of. That's part of my everyday budget. And it's little things. Like, I mean, I could just, it's little things. And when I buy it, I'm like, okay, so like you know, $100 a month for gifts. I mean, that's $1,200. Or if I say $200 a month for gifts, I mean, is that what is enough for your Christmas and birthdays and stuff like that? to me, that's where I'm at. Like I'm finally at. In the beginning, I wasn't, but that's where I'm luckily I'm finally at that. You know, when I like, and you know, when I say $200 for gifts, I'm talking like not for a person, but in general. Like, you know, if I, you know, buying that, like I bought $70 worth of gifts just going to Florida, you know, and that was okay. Like I was safe to do that. Like that was in my budget for that month. I was okay with that. That didn't hurt me at all. And so I don't have to worry about it. And I guess that's the piece I'm talking about too, is when you're spending and making that budget, you really have to know what you're okay on and spending. You know, is it, you know, some people can afford like a $50 value gift. Some people can afford $100. It's what you're comfortable with. And I don't, did that answer your question? I think I went around in circles a little bit there.
Yes. Yes, you answered my question.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Does anybody else have any other questions?
So to me, like that's part of like budgeting. Like when you're budgeting, it's for the whole, it's just not for gifts. It's just not for Christmas. It's having like a weekly or a monthly budget, right? You have to know, like, you have to have an idea and you have to track it. I mean, this is like bookkeeping for the house, right? You have to know how much you're spending on food. You have to know how much you're spending on home repairs. You know, you need to know how much you're spending on personal items. If you have animals, how much are you spending on that food? Like, okay, so I'm one of those weird ones. Like when I go to my financial guy once a year and we sit down and he asks me all the questions and, you know, yeah, you know, what are your expenses like for food and blah, blah, blah. And I go like this. And he goes, is that a P&L? I go, a profit and loss? I go, yeah. He goes, for your house? And I go, yeah. He goes, he just laughs at me. He goes, of course it is, Gina. I mean, I could tell you what I spend on bird food. We don't have birds, but we feed the birds outside. And so I have a little budget about birds. And so if we start spending, we start getting crazy. I go, okay, the birds have had enough. Gotta cut back. Or we wait till it's on sale. I mean, like, I'm a goofball. Like I could tell you how much I spend on my cats. I can tell you how much we spend on food. I can tell you how much we spend on dinner. I can tell you how much we spend on going out for coffee. I can tell you how much we spend going out for ice cream. I can tell you how much we spend on dates. I can tell you how much we spend going to the movies. Like that's how I can tell you how much we spend going to the doctors. I can tell you how much we spend on all our, I mean, when I say utility bills, I mean, I can tell you what I spend for ComEd. I can tell you what I spend for water. So when I go in and I want to know what my retirement is, and I want to know what I need to get there, I give him my expenses. Right? How much does it really cost you to? I'm like, all my utilities add up to this for the year. Because now he's got a true. It's not a. Let me think. I give him an actual. Because I need that to know what my budget's going to be, or what I need to make my retirement fund. Like that is really, like that is number one for me. But it was, I mean, but that was for everything though. I mean, I started a college fund for Tristan when he was 3. And the most I could put in it was $25 a month because that's all I could afford. And then as I got a little bit, you know, better in my business, or, you know, financially a little bit healthier, but it wasn't just $25 in for his college, because I don't want him to take care of us. So I had a Roth IRA set up. And at the time, it was $50 for me and my husband. So $125 went into a savings every month for us. Money I didn't see. But that's why I was budgeting and spending things a little bit here and a little bit there and a little bit there, because I didn't see that money. I don't want to see that money. I want to take care of ourselves. You know what I mean? When we talk about, you know, budgeting for Christmas, it's just a slice of the pie. It really is. And in your personal life, it's a slice of the pie. There's, you know, there's the gifts, Christmas gifts, and that gets put in that, right? It's what you need for food. It's your shelter. It's your clothing. It's your extracurricular entertainment. It's what you have for the doctors. I mean, there's a budget. Like there is, that's the whole pie, is everything you spend your money on. And so you asked earlier, like, what is the main thing people do wrong? And they spend too much. But because I really think they don't know what the pie is, or their idea of the pie is way greater than they know or think they have. Because if you can't give me an idea of what you spend on food in a month, you should be like, that's like a big one. I mean, and especially how much food has gone up. I mean, it is astronomical. And like for me, because of my dietary needs, like my food bill for 3 of us is obnoxious. Now, mind you, there are personal items in there. I don't get too crazy with like breaking out every line on my, when I go to Woodman's. But every 2 to 3 weeks, now I go food shopping in between that, Aldi or Jewel or little, things here to pick up. But I'm spending between $400 and $500 every two weeks or so in food for 3 people. That's a lot. But for me, like I have to buy the soy-free, gluten-free salad dressing. I mean, it's like twice as much as like a regular salad dressing. It's ridiculous. So I really watch what we spend. I really watch how I have things in my pantry. If I see like one of my salad dressings is on sale, I will buy 2 because I know I go through them. And then like if I already have one in the pantry, I put them in back. So I take the oldest one out first. So I use them all up so I don't waste. But I mean, that's part of budgeting. It's part of knowing what you have.
There's some questions in the comments if you can.
Yep, I see that. So yes, for my personal, I do use QuickBooks. I have the desktop version, so it's in QuickBooks. Before QuickBooks was a thing, I used Excel. That's how I used to do it. As I would have my month. I would like have my tab would be January, and I'd have all the like major items, like all my accounts per se, like food and insurance and doctor visits and water and gas and whatever, and that would be on the left. And then I would do it'd be across the top, and then I'd have the date, and then I would just put the dates in and put them in the columns. And I'd have one for January, I'd tab for February, I'd tab for March. And then I would take all the totals and I would have my totals for the end of the year. You could do it in Excel. That's, or it's not Excel now, and it's the other one in whatever. Google Sheets. But that you could do it in Google Sheets. I use QuickBooks because it's just it's a tool I have that I've purchased, so it's just easier for me because I have it. But I have my own account, and that's like I literally have entertainment, and then the list under entertainment is probably this long, because I have ice cream, date night, whatever, breakfast, lunch, dinner, coffee. Because my husband does, like, I don't eat out lunch a lot because I'm here. When my son was in school, he'd be eating lunch at school and made his own lunch, and, he took it every day. My husband now, he goes to work and he'll have lunch. So, like, once I see that little budget going up and up and up, I go, hey, honey, can we, like, take some more food from home, please? Why are we like really tight this month? Well, we did like buy siding, and I did put it on a layaway or whatever, not layaway, but like I financed it, and it's free financing. I have to make payments, so that's kind of out of our budget this month. Well, he wanted to do something. Well, can we wait till the siding's paid off and then we can do it? I don't tell him no. We have a discussion of when can we do it. Now, if it's a need, like my son's glasses cracked and he needed new glasses. Well, guess what? He's getting new glasses. We're not going to wait like he's going to college. I'm not going to wait 4 months to get him his glasses. He's going to have to get his glasses. That's, an unforeseen. But we try to put things when we know we're going to have the extra income, if that makes sense. And we have talks about, okay, what if we're going to do a house project? What does that look like? What is the span of the project? How much money is that going to be? And what does that mean? I'm like, well, that means we don't do any really fancy dinners for these next 3 months. And those are conversations we have. Here's another one like that, like on a personal thing that just I don't know. It just is a crazy thing. I know I'm getting off topic of Christmas, but free financing. Like Home Depot offers it, like this place for the siding, they offered free financing for, it was like 9 months. So then I did a calculation. Okay, if I make this as a deposit, because I had my little bit of my savings and deposit, and I did 9 months, how much is that going to mean I have to pay for every month? And I don't know if you guys know who Dave Ramsey is, but he's a big guru financial guy. And I was listening to one of his audiobooks one day, and he literally gave me a statistic that I was like this in the car. Like I literally had parked and had to get out of my car to go somewhere, and I couldn't because I was dumbstruck, absolutely dumbstruck. So the statistic was this. Home Depot offers free financing for 18, if you buy an appliance, they offer free financing for 18 months, right? Menards, I think, does the same. There's lots of different things that offers free financing, right? What percent of people do you think don't pay those items back during that free trial time? You have to unmute. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, it's got to be pretty high, like 95% or something crazy like that. Mary says 75.
It was something like 87 or 88%. 80% fall on that. And I'm like, I've done it all my life. That's how I've done. I have financed so I've lived here 5 years. We've had to get a new refrigerator. We've had to get a new dishwasher. We had to get a new washer and dryer. Home Depot, free financing. I plotted out. I have never, ever missed a payment. Since I've been 20, I've been doing this. Like, that's free money. That totally, that dumbfounded me that it was that high. That high. That is just, to me, so sad.
So you're for utilizing that, you just so long as you actually can pay it off during that time
Absolutely.
period.
Absolutely. Anytime I would take when I go, do because I could have put it on my credit card, but then I knew I would not be able to pay it off right away, right? I couldn't pay it all at one time because it was a lot of money. So I knew I was going to have to pay interest, which really pissed me off. And so I just asked the guy, do you have any kind of financing? And they're like, oh, you have this, but if you ask, you can get free financing for I think it's 9 months. And I was like, okay, sign me up. That's a duh, because I can make smaller payments, right, than I would if it was on my credit card, because I wouldn't want to pay that interest. And I have more money in my pocket now for when my son broke his glasses or cracked his glasses and I had to have them. I can pay that now because I didn't have to pay the big chunks for the siding. I don't believe in buying new cars. I will always buy used. So life in our world tossed us a boomerang, and I had to buy. My son bought my car so he could have a car, because he's like, Mom, I know your car, it's safe, you kept up on everything. I gave him a family friend discount. I'm like, all right, but then I'm going to go get a new car, which is a used car. I bought a 21 Civic, right? And when I bought the car he's driving now, which was as a CRV, I bought it used. I put a handful, I put, so a couple $1,000s down or whatever, and I financed it. I financed it for 6 years with the lowest rate. I have great credit rating at the lowest rate I could get. And I walked out and my husband goes, I can't believe you financed that for 6 years. I go, why wouldn't I? And he goes, why would you? Why wouldn't you get the 3 years? I'm like, because the payment's going to be double. He goes, okay, we can afford it. I'm like, I know we can afford it. But if shit hits the fan, my minimum payment, like we'll say, $300. I can either pay $300 or $600. The requirement is $300. That's what I pay. I pay $600 because that was what we can afford. That was what's in the budget. So I pay $600. I don't pay $300. And in my world, that car's going to get paid off in 3 years. Well, guess what happened in my last year of my 3 years? COVID. My husband got out of work. My business started drying up. The income started. I'm like, okay, instantly. Didn't even think about it. Didn't even look if we could afford it or not. I'm like, things are drying up. Screw it. I'm doing 300. So it took me 3.5 years to pay my car off. I was perfectly okay with that because I safeguarded us. Once I could see where everything was balancing out and how it affected me, because my husband his income is mostly commission. So his income is a crapshoot month to month. We can be like swimming in money. I cannot be swimming in money. It can be like, it's going to be a really dry month this one, FYI. Like, and that helps too. Like, so maybe I don't do 600. Maybe I do 500 because I'm going to save that extra 100 for whatever. Like, those are the things I think of. The no financing, absolutely. Because I'd rather do it that way.
Can I just add real quick? Yeah. Since we're business owners, my husband and I spent, 3 years getting out of like $25,000 in debt. That was many years ago. And I just want to relate it kind of back to business because I think Kristen asked you do this for clients. And I think, in your personal life, it's super important to know your numbers just like it is in your business. So
absolutely.
What are your expenses? So we always start with, you have to track that first. What are you spending monthly? What are your bills? We have a spreadsheet with everything so that you then know what your budget looks like. And it's the same for business. I just know a lot of business owners that don't understand their numbers. They don't know what they're spending versus what they're taking in, how much they're paying, what they're saving, all of the things. So for us, it's always the same for personal and for business that it all really, you have to know your numbers. You have to have a budget. You have to live within that budget.
Yep. Thank you. And sorry, I didn't see your question there, but yes, absolutely, Kristen. I mean, this is exactly what I do. I deal with my clients with this. I mean, we talk about, like, I have a lawyer client that he moved his business and had to kind of regroup, and he got into like a whirl of debt. And so it's like, okay, so how are we going to get this? I know you got to like build it back up. And so we're like, all right, let's just make a plan. What's the plan? And so we did a percent. He has his like profit first thing that he does. And like he had it set in a certain way. And I'm like, we have to redo this. I mean, you had your profit at like 12%, 3. Until that credit card is paid off, 3. I'm not saying nothing. Well, let's do 3. I think it was like, and we did like, he had several of them. And like, I'm like, we're going to do this for 4 months, 4 months. Let's do this for 4 months. Let's see how these percentages work. And then let's reevaluate. And I've adjusted them 3 times because he's still not there. He's getting close, but he's still not there. And his profit is still at 3%. And I'm hoping by the end of the year, we can bring it back up again, because then he'll be more balanced because now he's bringing in more income. But absolutely, this is the kind of stuff I talk with my clients, is a way to budget and looking at your expenses and knowing. again, it's that want versus needs. I mean, that's a big part of business too. Like, you know, in certain industries like construction, I mean, sometimes I think, oh, that, you know, the owner wants that big fancy schmancy truck, right? And it's okay, great. Now, does he need that truck? In some cases, absolutely. In some cases, he's throwing crap in the back of it. He's hauling crap. He's on this job site. He's working his butt off doing whatever. But there's others that not really. They just wrap the truck and drive around, and you know they do more in the office, right? So do they really need that truck? Do they really need to have that expense on their books? And so yes, those are types of things we talk about on the business end of things. So
do you dive in? Sorry, Gina.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, so I think Chris is wondering, do you dive into people's personal spreadsheets or QuickBooks?
I have.
Is that something you would do?
I have done personal items for people before. Those are just a little bit trickier because you have to be like for me, like with the entertainment, you have to know like exactly what it is you're really trying to narrow down when you start talking personal. And the personal part ends up being a little trickier because if you go to you know, what's a good example? Like you go to Target. I don't know where to put that. I don't know if Target is like food, is it, you know, is it home goods? Is it repairs? Like, I don't know. So sometimes, like especially with super Targets, you could be buying clothes. I would have no idea. So that would require some more work on the other persons to get those details. Like they would literally have to start writing on their receipts. Like that would be one of the things we have to do. Like in my house, clothing. I just don't have clothing. I have clothing, Gina, Eric, Tristan. I have doctor, Gina, Eric, Tristan. I have a vacation, Gina, Eric, family. Because I've taken my own little trips. My husband's taken his own little trips, and we've done family trips. Like, we have to look at it like, dude, I want to go to the seminar. And I go, okay, let's see what you've spent so far this year. Like, I want to know. And we talk about it. That's part of our conversations. And I think that'd probably be the other piece. Regardless of personal or business, those conversations have to be happening, period. You have to be talking about why you're purchasing something. Is it a need versus a want? Is this going to help you in some way, shape, or form? Is it something that has to happen right now? Or is it yeah, let's wait 3 months because we got this and this on coming up at the moment. But you can't have that without conversations and knowing the numbers. The conversations aren't going to help if you don't know the numbers. To me, that's a given. So I guess, Chris, Kristen, when you asked that, I was just like, well, isn't that a given? I mean, you know, if you're business owners, you should be doing it. But most people do it in the business and not the home. Like that's an odd concept for them. And I think, why wouldn't you? But that's just my weirdo brain thinking. So.
Well, I'm glad you said brains. So what about the people whose brains don't work this way, or their spouse is not on board or something like that? Where do you start if the super detailed spreadsheets and writing on receipts is not realistic?
All right. So I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. My husband is not, I shouldn't say he's not on board, because he'll just do whatever. And like, I'm always yelling at him for spending money. Like, that's the thing I do. Dude, stop spending money. Christmas is coming. Stop spending money. You know, your birthday is in like, you've got Christmas, and then 3 weeks later is your birthday. If you really want something, let me know. It'll be your gift. I don't want to buy you a gift and then you spend another $1,000 on crap. Like, can we, have this conversation? So yes, it can be a battle if your other half isn't in it, but it matters to me. And in this house, I am truly the one in charge of the finances. So I put it upon myself to get all those details. And you're going to laugh, but in my personal one, I'll have you know, he took cash out and he gives me a receipt, or I don't know, he spent something on his credit card and I'm like, what is it? He goes, I don't remember. And I go, spending shit on crap. Like, that'll be my memo. I put it to Eric spending. It's a thing I have. Eric spending. I go, spending it on crap, have no idea. It just makes me feel better. I got it off my chest. No one's ever going to read it except me. And then I'm not bitching at him. You know what I mean? Like, I can only get him on. Like, we have a spot in the kitchen that he knows to put receipts. So when he comes in, he empties the pocket, he throws it in. Sometimes they're stuck in his glove box. I have to empty his glove box and stick them in the box, or they'll be on the dresser in his, you know, on his dresser. Like, I have to scoop them up and throw them in the box. And then I will make them, or Tristan, depending who's there, here, open all these receipts for me, because I got to be all nice so I can enter them. But yes, that's how I do it.
We have to get going. I hate to leave. I'm glad it's recorded, because this is more than I expected. I love it.
Oh, good. I'm glad.
Thank you.
No problem. I hope somebody got something out of this, and I'm going to take this off. It's really hot.
Bye, y'all. Thank you.
All right, you guys have a great weekend.
Thank you.